Hello everyone and welcome to the Green Man channel. Hope you're good and well. So for this Saturday's album review, I'm reviewing perhaps the most anticipated album of 2024 in the realm of heavy metal. That is of course the legendary Judas Priest with their 19th studio album here, Invincible Shield, which came out yesterday on the 8th of March via Columbia and Epic Records. And the album is 11 tracks and 52 minutes in length, unless of course you include the deluxe version, which has 3 bonus tracks on it as well, which push it to over an hour in length. So this, I think, is a brilliant return from Judas Priest. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's been 6 years since Firepower, but apparently it has been 6 years since that album came out. You know, they are a band who I think are doing really well in their later years. I mean, it's hard not to compare them to some of their peers in that same, you know, British new wave of heavy metal era, like Iron Maiden. And if you compare them to Iron Maiden, I mean, this album is, well, it's, to be honest, I think it's a lot better than what we've recently heard from Iron Maiden. And I think that's because, first of all, the production on this album is great from Andy Sneap. I think that the guitar work on this album is super tight, super sharp, you know, fast and furious. Quite often it's playing to Judas Priest's strengths, but doing so in a way which also has a little bit of freshness about it. I do think that there is just a sharpness in the guitar solos in particular on this album. The riffing's also really strong. And you have great drumming from Scott Travis, and there's just all the elements, the balance of the album, and that production I think is what really brings out the best of these songs too. It's like you can really you know, just feel the driving force that Judas Priest had back in the 70s and 80s, and the driving force is here in the 2020s, you know, like 50 odd years since they were first on the scene. It's just incredible. The performance level of this whole band is what it is. Of course, Rob Halford proving at 72 that age is just a number. And yeah, I know that this is a band you wonder when are they going to start slowing down? When is the form going to end? This current streak of form that they're in, it doesn't feel like it's going to slow down anytime soon by the evidence of this album. If we get another album like this in 5 years' time, when Rob is, what, 77 odd or closing in on 80, so be it. If it's as good as this, don't really give a damn. So yeah, absolutely great stuff on this album. Tipton, you know, Glenn Tipton and Richie Faulkner, as I say, their performances are super good, super crisp guitar work. It's pretty much faultless all the way through the album. Let's go into some of my favourite tracks here. Panic Attack, great opener. Lots of the classic Priest touches. It does remind me a tiny bit of Painkiller in a way, but I mean, you could say it reminds you of a lot of other Judas Priest. One thing Judas Priest songs tend to do is they do sound very Judas Priest, but I mean, it's a really good opener, really, really good. Invincible Shield is another track I want to give a shout out to. I mean, a great title track, really memorable chorus. The song just, I think, plays to the strengths of all the different band members and does a really good job of, you know, evoking their classic guitar, classic sound. And I love the guitar harmonies in the song as well, that I think again just demonstrate that Judas Priest is just sounding as good and as tight maybe as they have done, you know, you know, I think in some ways this album is even better than Firepower, frankly, which is saying something, because Firepower was a really good album from 2018. For me, this album's real true shining point actually is its middle stretch, because I love a little bit of the variety you get in that stretch, because you get not just classic Priest, but you also, I think, get some songs which do sound a little bit fresh and a little different, and they're still absolutely firing on all cylinders, whether or not, you know, you have a track like Crown of Horns, for example, which is a slower, more melodic track. And I've seen some people criticise this song as the weakest song on the album, but no, I don't think this is the weakest track on this album. I think it's actually one of the strongest, because it's a little bit of a change in the album from sounding like you're just all your typical fast, furious Priest stuff, and you get something a bit different, which allows the album to breathe, and it also gives the album a touch of emotion. And me being a guy that does like a bit of an emotional touch on his albums, I mean, I'm all for Crown of Thorns. I think it's an absolutely fantastic track. And the delivery and performance on this track is no less good than the other songs on the album. It's a bit different, but it doesn't make it any less good than any of the other tracks on this album. Escape from Reality, absolutely adore the chorus on that track. little bit. Now, this might be a hot take, but with Escape from Reality, I got a hint of David Draymond in Disturbed with that chorus. And I don't know what it was. Not the way it was delivered, but just the style of the chorus made me think of a Disturbed track, which I know is probably going to get people going crazy in the comments. But I'm just saying that chorus just reminded me a bit of a Disturbed song. But a great song nevertheless. I mean, Giants in the Sky is a good way to finish the album. You know, it sort of made me think with some of the guitar parts, a little bit of Killer of Giants by Ozzy Osbourne as well, in the style and the size of that track as an album closer too. But nevertheless, a really good way to finish the album. Actually, I didn't mention Gates of Hell, which is another one of my favourite songs in the sort of middle part of the album as well, which is an absolutely kind of thrilling Priest track. And again, sort of delivering what Priest do best, really. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to start repeating myself now so a lot with what I'm saying about this album, but you know, the only slight criticism I have really of this entire record is that it sounds very, very Judas Priest for, you know, a large portion of it, but I feel like using that as a criticism for this album is like criticising a cheeseburger for being a cheeseburger. I mean, you can't really use that as a criticism of a cheeseburger. It's a cheeseburger. It's what you want. And but to be honest and to be totally fair to this record, it's like some of the best of Judas Priest that I have heard, not just, you know, for the length of their career, but certainly in recent times. And it's therefore got to be an 8.5 out of 10 for me. But that's probably the lowest that I could give this album as well. I need a little bit more time to sort of make a final judgment. But I mean, I think it's just a really strong Judas Priest album. And if you're a Judas Priest fan, or if you're hoping for that classic Judas Priest sound, I don't think you're going to be the least bit disappointed by this album. This is classic sounding Judas Priest, but it's also classic sounding Judas Priest with some fresher sounding tracks as well, so it elevates that in that sense as well, even though, as I say, for some of the album I do feel it's just a little too familiar. But I mean, like I say, that's not really a super strong criticism of this release. It's a great release. So yeah, let me know what you think of this one in the comments. Do drop a like and a sub if you're new to the channel. I've got my top 10 horror films of 2022 coming out later. Don't forget, this channel is a little bit of a mixture of things. It is heavy metal, rock, album reviews, lists of albums, lists of you know, horror film related content, fantasy books. And yeah, so that's about it from me for now. Until next time, everybody, bye for now.